This is WYMT Mountain News at 5:30.
Good evening, I'm Steve Hensley. Hazard Community and Technical College is helping their criminal justice students get better hands-on training. WYMT's Lauren McCourt talked with the coordinator of the program, who says he's trying to better prepare his students for real-life scenarios.
When students sit in class, many tend to just watch the clock, waiting to be dismissed.
It helps students be better prepared.
But the criminal justice program here at Hazard Community and Technical College found a better way to prepare their students for real-life situations.
One of the things we wanted to do was create a way for students to practice what they're taught in the classroom.
The training lab allows students to experience hundreds of different scenarios that law enforcement officers face, and some you may face in the future.
Based on how they engage the suspect they're dealing with, I can, as the instructor, kind of manipulate how the scenario is going to go.
Instructor Walter Smith says the main thing he wants his students to learn is that they can de-escalate situations without using force.
In a split second, you can take what you've learned, that foundational material, apply it, and create a solution to a problem.
Hoping to better prepare his classes.
You're never really prepared until that first time, but they're better prepared
for what is yet to come. In Perry County, Lauren McCourt, WYMT Mountain News.
Smith says they plan to offer police officer training with the simulator in the near future. Police still need your help finding a wanted Floyd County man. Prestonsburg police said Saturday that they could not find Bobby Blackburn. Here he is. Police have a warrant out for him related to child sexual exploitation. Police say he used an electronic device to try and get a minor to engage in sexual activities. If convicted, Blackburn could serve up to 5 years behind bars.
Well, it's starting to get a little steamy out there, and bad news, that continues over the next few days. Good news is that we do see a cool down in our future. Let's go ahead and take a look at a few of those cameras. US 119, US 23 in Jenkins. Overall dry conditions, plenty of sunshine throughout the day. And as we look over into Jackson, right now it's 86 degrees over there. Dew points into the mid 60s, so it actually feels like 88 outside. So it is just a little bit muggy. You'll notice plenty of sunshine, just a few clouds here and there. So there's those really upper 80s for almost all of eastern Kentucky. A little bit cooler if you're looking over into Wise, where it's a little bit of an 82 cooler spot, but even closer to 90 as we look down to our south. But satellite radar has been clear throughout the day. Haven't had to deal with those rain chances. That'll be a little bit different as we head into tomorrow. We increase those a little bit as a system to the north kind of stalls out, and then we're going to hang on to a few scattered rain chances as we head into your Thursday and Friday as a cold front moves into the mountains, and we all know what that means. Look, good news is, it only brings about a 20% chance of rain for both Thursday and Friday, but it does bring us those cooler temperatures. We'll have a look at that full forecast coming up in just a few short minutes. Steve.
All right, thanks, Paige. Violent twisters left a trail of destruction across Ohio and Indiana this morning. At least one person was killed. CBS's Hillary Lane has the latest.
Aerial footage shows the damage left behind in Salina, Ohio, where a suspected tornado is being blamed for the death of an elderly man after the wind blew a car into his house overnight. It's part of a string of twisters that move through the area, demolishing homes and uprooting trees.
From the air, it just looks absolutely horrible. You see not only roofs of houses off, but you see just everything just like splintered. The power of a tornado is, you just can't believe it until you see it.
Near Dayton, people worked to clear the debris. The sheriff's department says the storms left many roads impassable. West of Dayton in Brookville, the sun rose to reveal the massive destruction.
It was kind of an eerie feeling. You had kind of the ear pressure kind of changed in your ears, and then we heard a lot of glass breaking, and then it just sounded like a freight train.
That's a pretty big one, man.
Twisters also touched down across Indiana. Federal officials say preliminary reports show more than 50 tornadoes may have touched down Monday across 8 states in the midsection of the country. In Grant County, Indiana, tornado victims salvaged what they could.
All my albums look like they're going to be okay with all the pictures in it. So I'm blessed.
In Pendleton, Indiana, where storms damaged at least 75 homes, the cleanup has already begun. Hillary Lane, CBS News, New York.
Some residents are being urged to stay inside to avoid downed power lines. An American is the latest climber to die on Mount Everest. Colorado attorney Chris Kulish collapsed on his way down after reaching the summit. He is at least the 11th fatality there this season. People on the same expedition say they were not prepared for what they saw when they got there. They believe too many people were dangerously vying for the same experience. Meanwhile, a missing hiker has been found in Hawaii alive. Amanda Eller was gone for 2 weeks. Authorities say she was lost in a thick forest before being found. She says she's grateful for the strangers who worked to find her. Eller hopes her story can remind others about what's important in life. Kentucky Congressman Thomas Massie is trying to block a disaster aid bill. It would send $19 billion to flood and hurricane victims, mostly to states hit by Hurricanes Michael and Florence last year. Congress is trying to pass the bill under special procedures. It requires a unanimous agreement, but Representative Massie does not agree with that. He argues the bill should have been passed before the House went on recess. The Supreme Court has weighed in on another abortion case. The justices let stand a lower court ruling that Indiana cannot ban abortions performed because of fetal disabilities or because of the sex or race of the fetus. However, the court sided with the Indiana law, which says aborted fetuses can no longer be disposed of as medical waste. They have to be cremated or buried. Today, Oklahoma became the first state to go to trial in a lawsuit against the makers of the painkillers critics blame for the nation's opioid crisis. In his opening statement, Oklahoma's Attorney General called the opioid epidemic the worst man-made public health crisis in the history of the country, and he blamed consumer products giant Johnson & Johnson for fueling it. At the peak of the opioid crisis, overdoses killed more than 500 Oklahomans a year.
At the end of the day, Your Honor, I have a short, one-word answer: greed.
How dare them not take responsibility up front for what they've caused?
Janssen Pharmaceuticals, which is a subsidiary of Johnson & Johnson, argues it acted responsibly and that Oklahoma's allegations are baseless and unsubstantiated. 2 of the 3 companies that Oklahoma sued, Purdue Pharma and Teva Pharmaceuticals, have already settled out of court with no admission of wrongdoing. Some new rules could soon be in place for tattoo artists and body piercers in Kentucky. A meeting at the Cabinet for Health and Family Services drew a large number of people from that industry today. Olivia Russell has more on the possible new regulations.
The conference room was packed with people like tattoo artists and people who have had scars covered by tattoos, all of them speaking out against this proposal.
A draft of some proposed regulations from the Cabinet for Health and Family Services called for a ban on tattooing over scars. Many of the people here say the proposed rules don't define a scar. They argue a tattoo on some scars is not only safe, but helpful. Many tattoos on scar tissue cover things like C-sections, mastectomies, and reminders of self-harm. Some tattoo artists are also concerned that a regulation like this could keep them from doing tattoo cover-ups. Artists say they wouldn't tattoo over a fresh wound anyway. They wait for the skin to heal first. The people at this meeting were glad to see regulators listening to their concerns.
I believe that the commission will listen to what everybody had to say, and I also know that they even themselves, I think, feel that it was drafted a bit too broad, and that by refining the administrative regulation, they can bring in a statute that applies in a manner that can be handled.
Many of the people who spoke say that there are some parts of the tattoo industry that do need more regulation, but they say banning covering scars is not the issue. In Frankfort, Olivia Russell, WKYT.
If you were not at the meeting, you have until Friday to submit written comments about the proposal. A Kentucky college president is retiring. John Roush has served as Centre College's president in Danville for more than 20 years. During his tenure, Center's student body has increased about 40%. Capital projects totaled in the hundreds of millions of dollars during his time as president. His last day on the job will be June 30th of next year. The next day will be Roush's 70th birthday. Coming up on Mountain News at 5:30, hear why Home Depot employees teamed up to make life a little bit easier for a 2-year-old boy.
And the hot and humid conditions continue really over the next few days. Good news is those rain chances return, which also will provide a cool down. I'll have a look at that full forecast in just a few short minutes.
A simple message of if they can do it, anyone can do it. Straight ahead, hear from a group who graduated from the Harlan County Drug Court today and how they said they did it and recommend it for anyone struggling with addiction.